Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Theater of Football. I'm Mike Hodem, and I'm joined by Patrick Heinrich.
Hey everybody.
Unfortunately, today we'll be discussing our United's 3-1 defeat to Chelsea in the FA Cup semifinal. Patrick, I want to get right into this. We will talk about the Leicester game a little bit later and a little bit about the league, but there's a lot to get off our chests about today's game. I want to start with the decision in goal from Ole. Sergio Romero played in goal for all of our cup competitions up until this point. In fact, in the FA Cup, he had only conceded once, and that was in the last round against Norwich. What? I didn't.
What?
I didn't watch. I didn't watch Ole's post-match press conference because I didn't think there was any explanation for why he did that. But we all, I think, agree that De Gea was poor. Why? Like, why drop Romero?
Well, I think, and I think it was after. I can't remember. It was after the Crystal Palace game or the Southampton game. But they were Ollie was being interviewed afterwards, and he said, I think this shows. I think it was the Crystal Palace game where he's like, I think this shows that De Gea is still a world-class goalkeeper, and he put on a good show. And I think De Gea convinced him just enough, to put him in goal for this game. And Ole was probably thinking we need a strong person in goal because this game is so important to us. So hilariously, he took the path that we know is the worst idea to do, and probably was the least. He took the most risky path when he could have taken a much less risky path.
Yeah, I mean, De Gea played really well against Palace, but when you have a goalkeeper who is your quote-unquote cup goalkeeper,
Yeah,
and you're playing semifinal, I mean, Lampard played Caballero instead of Kepa, who had played all the way in the FA Cup final, so we showed faith in him. And I just there's a little aspect of it where you bring in a goalkeeper and he's thinking, well, I didn't play in this competition leading up to this point, and there's a little bit of that added pressure that maybe he just puts on himself.
yeah,
But I mean, there were mistakes leading up to all three goals that weren't because of him.
right.
But the first two goals, the second one especially, he should have saved, and that first one, I felt like he kind of let through him too, although it was going to be very much a reactionary save.
Yeah,
But it's very disappointing that Ole makes this decision when you have Sergio Romero, who is at the very least a very competent backup.
yeah,
He knows he looks like he knows what he's doing out there, and he commands the box pretty well, I feel.
hmm,
And it's not a situation like you have up in City or Liverpool for that matter, where the backup goalkeeper is so vastly behind
yeah,
the starter, where you want to the number one, where you want to bring in the number one when you do get into the later rounds of these cup competitions.
yeah.
So,
And
uh,
the only thing that I could think of was in as a good reason, besides we want De Gea out there as our best. Another reason I thought was maybe because Ole was trying to do a new formation, which we can get into that later. But he was trying to do something new, and he thought, well, maybe I'll just make sure I have my more experienced goalie in the net while we try this new thing out.
yeah, but you bring up an interesting point, and that could have been part of his thought process. But when that was going to be my next question, or my next point we were going to get to, was the formation we started with. And looking at Romero's career, I've seen him play for his national team, Argentina, with three at the back.
Yeah,
So I don't know if, and Ole could have been thinking that, but I don't know. And if he was, I think it'd be the wrong thought. But there was just, in my opinion, and I didn't want to watch his post-match press conference today because I knew he was going to get asked that question. And to me, there was absolutely no justification for him bringing in De Gea over Romero.
right.
And he was asked about Fosu Mensah after Crystal Palace, and even before the match, I could think of why he would bring him in, because Williams and Shaw are out. He wants to stay with the back four, and he just does not trust Dalot defensively. And Dalot's more of a right back, as is Fosu Mensah, who came on today for Wan-Bissaka to play at right back. But he just there's a level of trust there. He had seen Timothy play and training, and I think he played in the West Brom friendlies. So that I understood even before kickoff why he would pick Timothy. And I also thought maybe for familiarity purposes with Crystal Palace, having spent a year there on loan 2 years ago, and with not much turnover within the squad between now and then. So with this decision just made no sense to me. And let's move on to the formation. Let's transition into that, because you and I discussed after the Southampton draw about him potentially going to a back three for Crystal Palace if Williams and Shaw were out. And then before our Crystal Palace video, I had more of a, epiphany, if you will, that, they really haven't had hardly any training. So you really don't want to switch to a back three, which we haven't really worked on or haven't played with since we returned from break. So it makes more sense to stick with the back four. If you look at ours, he actually had less time to prepare for this match, but he went with the back three. We were very poor in the first half. Having said that, I actually think if Bai didn't get injured, and I want to say to Bai, I hope he gets better soon. And that was kind of a scary and odd situation to watch with him. So, I hope he gets better. And I actually thought he was our one player who was decent up until his injury. I thought he made a couple of nice interceptions and looked like he was the one player who looked like he was comfortable on the ball through Chelsea's pressing. But the first goal by Giroud, getting back to that, was after he basically reverted back to the 4-1-2-3 to bring in Martial for Bai. And it's funny because as badly as we were playing up until that point, I don't think the goal happens if we still play the back three. Do you?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it would have been difficult for that to have happened if we had played a back three.
Yeah, I felt like, because you had Lindelof playing on the left, I felt like he would have been the one to kind of cover that cross coming in, and then Maguire would have been more ahead of the near post to cut out the cross. I know there was the third goal was kind of similar to how the first goal went down, but again, Maguire was on the wrong side, or Lindelof was on the wrong side on the first one. Maguire was on the wrong side for the second one. And if you had if you're playing a back three, then your position would be more ahead of that front post. So I actually think that with the back three, we would have gone into the break 0-0. And I'm not going to give Chelsea any credit for them winning today for two reasons. One, they had 2 extra days to prepare, and they looked like the fresher team. They looked like they had a game plan in place to beat us. So then they should. It would have been embarrassing for them if they lost, if they fell behind to us, and after 70, 75 minutes, 3-0, when we had 2 days to prepare. But we looked sluggish. We looked tired. We looked slow. The players who we brought in to freshen the squad didn't look sharp. And that was disappointing. But the second reason I'm not going to praise Chelsea was that they were all over us the first half. We could barely string 3-4 passes together. We constantly tried to play out from the back and turn the ball over. We did the same thing that led to the second goal with Brandon Williams playing in it. Completely ill-advised pass that never should be played at any point in the match in the situation. But by the time Giroud scored the goal, Chelsea should have created a good 6-7 opportunities, which they didn't really do, and they should have already been 2-3 goals up at that point. So they didn't, as much as they dominated that match, I'm not going to give them any credit. What's that?
You say they should have dominated it more?
Yeah, I mean, they should have. It should have been, the scoreline should have been like the Manchester derby from 2011 that ended in 6-1 to City. I mean, that's they should have created more opportunities, and their final ball was often lacking. So I'm not going to, between that and the amount of rest compared to us they had coming into this match, I gave them no credit for that.
Yeah.
When we met at the first game of the season when everything is perfectly equal, we smashed them 4-0.
Yep.
So there's tons of Chelsea fans trolling Twitter tonight, and I'm not having any of it.
Yeah.
So you had 2 extra days to rest. Lampard had at least 2 extra training sessions to prepare his squad for playing us. And, you won. You should have won.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, they should have won. They definitely should have won. I also definitely agree that they should have won by probably a larger margin, because I mean, for all we know, we could have been the Manchester United U12 squad out there playing against them. So,
and yeah, that's not taken away from my disappointment, and I'm not making an excuse that I am making an excuse, but I still felt like we should have been smarter when we had the ball, playing out from the back, occasionally going long. We seemed reluctant to play balls over the top for Rashford and James, and that's the only reason why I could think Ole would go to that formation, is so you can play those balls over the top and put pressure on a Chelsea back line that is much maligned. And that didn't happen. I think Bruno played one perfectly for Rashford, and he got in a good position and fired wide.
yeah.
So, but before that, there was hardly anything, and Rashford didn't seem like the typical willing runner that he usually is. And I think that's just down to fatigue. And Martial had to come on, and he didn't look very, very fit as well.
Yeah.
So
I thought we weren't playing attacking football.
No.
In any shape or form. And I thought a lot of times that a lot of people were just generally confused about where they should be. I got that general sense. And one of those people that I thought was Rashford, because he was never as far up as he should have been. And James seemed to have it down. I mean, he was always like up, he was in position, he was ready to get, some of those balls. But I thought Rashford, wasn't where he needed to be. I thought Williams and Matic and Fred and Wan-Bissaka, everybody was just sort of confused about what was happening in the midfield.
Yeah, and that's you don't have any time to work on this, and you've been successful. And I know the last couple games we've been sluggish as well, but you've played a formation that's been successful in an attacking sense, and you get used to knowing where players should be. When you completely change the system and the formation, suddenly you're not sure in your mind. You have to consciously think about making the right pass and looking to see where everybody is. Whereas before, you can kind of subconsciously, I don't want to say guess, but just have that sense of, okay, Rashford will be here. Bruno will be here. So you don't have that when you change formations either. And it's interesting you did bring up James, because he didn't do much today. But I've said before that when Ole has played this formation, that James actually does work well as a second striker. He's actually, through my eyes, he looks better doing that than he does just playing on the right wing in Ole's favored 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
So that's something that hopefully James works on, that because that right side is where he's going to see most of his playing time if he starts. But having said that, I think I would have actually preferred Ighalo to start to James, because I think he would have been the perfect foil to Rashford. Ighalo's good hold-up play, and I felt like having that with Bruno and Rashford would have been better, because then he can hold the ball up while Bruno can free himself to receive the ball from Ighalo, and then he can play balls in behind for Rashford to run onto and hopefully score. But there's a lot of things that Ole did today that just had me scratching my head, and
for sure
it would have almost made more sense if he just gave the 11 players that have played most of our time coming since we came back. If he just gave them all a day off, including De Gea, give them all the day off. We'll just play a reserve side and go from there. That would have made more sense in my mind. I wouldn't have liked it, but it would have made more sense than what he ended up choosing to approach the game.
I also think I would have criticized him less had he even just played the normal formation that we've been winning games with, even with everybody being tired or being fatigued. I don't think anybody, if that had happened, and we had lost. I don't think anybody would have said anything about, oh, you played well. People probably would have said something, but I would give him more credit for playing the formation that wins matches than this formation that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and in that sense, he has won matches against other big clubs using this formation. But you do bring up a really good point that given the lack of rest we had, if we came out and played our normal formation and he made 3 or 4 changes, and we put in the same performance and had the same result, people would just be talking about the lack of rest and stuff, and maybe there would have been change put on by the Premier League to help out some of the bigger clubs when they get deep into cup competitions and European competitions, like you see in other leagues, like down in Spain in La Liga,
Yeah,
where they bend over backwards to help their teams in the Copa del Rey and the Champions League and the Europa League.
yeah,
So, but he kind of just completely fell on his sword today.
yeah.
If I was giving a player ratings and included a manager rating, I would have given Ole a 1 for today, because
Yeah.
that was really poor.
Yeah.
And has done a lot to silence his doubters, but today was not a day today was a day where his doubters could kind of have a renaissance.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I really don't want to talk anymore about that game.
Me either.
I want to move on, because right before kickoff, we got an excellent result thanks to the great Jose Mourinho. Spurs beating Leicester 3-0 in their penultimate fixture, which means we're still level on points with Leicester, and we're now level on goal differential, but we're still behind them based upon goals scored.
Yep.
So yeah, make of that what you want. But since we play again on Wednesday, another quick turnaround against West Ham, who could be confirmed, if I'm not mistaken, by kickoff that they will be still in the Premier League next year, that they will stave off the relegation threat.
Yep.
What do we do from here? Do we obviously, I feel like we go back to 4-2-3-1, but is Ole strong enough? Does he have the guts to finally take De Gea out if it's only for a game and put in Romero? Because I think he needs to do that. And then beyond that, Patrick, what type of lineup do you expect to see on Wednesday?
Well, I don't think that De Gea will be out of. I think De Gea will be playing on Wednesday. I think he's going to. I mean, it doesn't. It would be difficult to for Ole, and I know it's going to be difficult. And the next 4 days are going to be just a whole bunch of, or the next 3 days are going to be a whole bunch of you should play Romero. Is De Gea out? I've already seen, or I think De Gea is trending on Twitter right now, but I think there's going to be all this talk about, is De Gea coming back, or is he going to go away, and I think Ole is just going to play him, and I think that's okay, especially with 2 games left. It's not what I would want to do. I think Romero deserves a shot, wholeheartedly, especially having deprived him of this FA Cup game. But I think he's going to put him in goal, or De Gea is going to be in goal on Wednesday. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that that's going to happen, whether or not it should be what happens. But I also think, I think we're going to go back to the 4-3, or the same formation that we had in our previous games. I think he's gonna come out with Mason Greenwood is going to be in the starting lineup. I think he's going to play him again. I thought Greenwood was a little bit confused, one of those confused players in the game today. So I think he'll come back. I think he'll come back on Wednesday. I think he'll be in a better position. I think he'll still keep. I think Modric and Pogba will be back. I think Bruno obviously will play. I think Rashford, Martial will be on there. I think it'll be probably a return to normalcy is what I'm expecting in my mind.
Yeah, I thought he would start. I agree. De Gea's going to play. I don't think he has the guts to drop him for Romero. And I think the only thing that we might see potentially is we play these final 2 games with De Gea, then we go into the Europa League, and then there he may be like, all right, Sergio's, you're the goalie, you're the keeper. I'm not going to take you out, but but David's going to, and then have David on the bench for every match. Don't like let David go on vacation at that point, and then have Lee Grant, our third choice, on the bench. No, make De Gea be with the squad. Don't kind of reward him for continual mistakes, continuous mistakes, and but go with Romero there. Like I think I could see Ole actually doing that. But as far as Wednesday's game, you and I are in accord that Romero should start, but he won't.
Yeah.
But going into the lineup, I think you're going to see if Shaw can finally can shake off the ankle injury, he'll come back in. But if not, we probably see Williams again at left back.
Yeah.
Bailly, I don't want to speculate, but I'm going to assume he's going to be unavailable probably for those last 2 games. It'll probably be Maguire and Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, and then the problem I have is that I would think Ole would want to again rest Matic on Wednesday. However, McTominay, I know you thought McTominay did okay at Palace, but I was not thrilled with his play at Palace. I thought he was slow, got caught in possession, made some poor passes, didn't read the game well defensively. I thought he was pretty poor by his standards at Palace, and I thought today Fred was downright awful in the first half. In fact, I thought he was our worst player, and that's saying a lot.
True.
So I don't think Ole can. If you're Ole, I don't think you can trust those 2 right now. I mean, he may go back to McTominay for Matic, but I think you got to. If Matic is at all fit, I think you have to start him.
Yeah.
I assume Pogba will be back from the start.
Yeah.
And you'll see Bruno again, and I think the front 3 will be the holy trinity of Rashford and Martial and Greenwood again.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see because the way it's set up now, really all we need to do is pick up 2 points from our last 2 games. 2 draws will put us in the Champions League.
Yep.
Ideally, on Wednesday, I would want us to win by 3 goals or more, because then that would push our goal differential 3 goals better than Leicester, which would mean even if we lost to Leicester on the last day by a goal, we would still be in the finishing 3rd or 4th.
Yeah,
so,
I agree with that.
So that would be an ideal situation, but given our past week and how we're kind of starting to just limp over the line, it is important to note that 2 draws, we get at least a point from West Ham, and can get at least a point from Leicester. We should be okay. Did you watch that Leicester game today?
No, I didn't catch it.
It was hilarious. Johnny Evans, he finished the game on one yellow card. He should have been yellow carded 3 times, and then possibly a 4th time, which was also a borderline red card. So he could have seen yellow cards 3 separate times in the match, plus a straight red, and somehow he made it to the end. I don't know how he did it. He had all the luck today, but his team didn't, but he did.
I never know if he doesn't.
But if you look at Leicester, they got with Sionchu out. They're both starting fullbacks are out. Ricardo and Chilwell, and you have James Maddison, who's going to miss the match. You have to really even if we stumble and lose to West Ham again, like we did to them earlier in the season.
Yeah,
I would still fancy our chances of getting a win at Leicester, but we'll see on that. So things do look like they're back in our court fully for Champions League football in the league. It's disappointing we won't add another trophy to the cabinet with the FA Cup today, right?
Yep.
Well, for Patrick, I'm Mike. Thank you for watching the Theater of Football, and tune in again next time.
Cheers, everyone.
Oh, hello. Thank you for watching the Theater of Football. If you think Mike got it wrong yet again, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below.